Our people report straight down the line, and I think that not only do they do that, they do so with a mission that very few other broadcast organizations have, which is a requirement to serve the entire public.
If you think PBS is biased, compared to who? Name one news organization in America, and I shouldn't be defending us, I get paid by PBS, but I'm going to do it, who's more straight down the line than we are.
In fact, I think our reverence for the truth might have become a bit of a distraction that is preventing us from finding consensus and getting important things done.
Let's check in on a few things that the Democrat accounts aren't telling you about the Trump administration. Egg prices are continuing to drop and stabilize. The April jobs report shows that the economy added 177,000 jobs. Despite the import tariffs, China quietly exempts some U.S.-made products from tariffs such as semiconductors. Both the NASDAQ and the S&P are skyrocketing, and the national average gas prices are dropping. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend.
You have NPR, PBS trying to make the claim that they call things straight down the middle. And I showed you clips of her personally, the CEO of NPR, saying that the truth gets in the way of building consensus. Now, what I think most Americans would prefer is the truth over building some type of consensus, aka a narrative, right? If everyone believes something, but that thing isn't true, is it correct or moral to distribute that information out there? I don't think so. I think the truth should be the truth regardless of who it serves, who it benefits, who it helps. Yeah, many journalists in this industry create articles saying that they cannot be objective because it could help Donald Trump. But NPR and PBS, they still want to take taxpayer money. They don't represent all of America. They only represent half of America. That's who NPR represents. That's who CBS represents. But they want taxpayer money. Make it make sense. I remember I did a video with the NPR CEO, her getting questioned about her journalistic practices at the corporate level, and how all their reviewers, I believe it was like 85 editors or whatever, all of them were affiliated with Democrats. All of them were leftists. Not a single one voted Republican, considered themselves conservative, none. All of the people on her review board, Democrats. Yet you think you can call it down the middle with a panel full of Democrats. Make it make sense. Liberal bias is a problem in our institutions right now. And it seems like they lack the self-reflection to admit that. And as you saw from the intro, I showed you a clip of a guy, right? You know, just an everyday Joe who has a microphone talking, giving you the news. Say, hey, look what's going on here. Look what's going on there. Hey, they're not really reporting this. Highlighting liberal bias. But NPR, we're calling it straight down the middle. CBS, we're calling it straight down the middle. Craziness. This is craziness. And it speaks to the manipulation of the left, right? And I want to show you a clip of Stephen A. Smith. I know many people are starting to get tired of Stephen A. Smith, but Stephen A. Smith, I think he had an interview with Brandon Tatum, and I believe he got influenced over what Brandon Tatum told him, because he started making commentary like this.
When I'm abhorring or lamenting the state of affairs within the Democratic Party, I'm basically talking about what they were focusing on. They may be doing things on the state and local level and may deserve an abundance of credit for it, but that's not the message that we were receiving. And you know why we weren't receiving that message? Because they didn't think they could sell it to us. They didn't think that that would be good enough. They wanted to make sure, oh, we're going to point to racism. We're going to guilt you into voting for us. We're not going to talk about the things that we're doing positively. We're going to talk about what the other side is doing negatively to engage in fear-mongering to help you, through fear factor, go our way instead of theirs. And it didn't work this time. And to be quite honest with you, even though I might not like some of the things I'm seeing from the Trump administration thus far, the bottom line is I'm glad it didn't work, because I think for the longest time, black Americans have played the role of suckers to the Democratic Party. They've guilted us into voting for them, making us feel as if we're going to be ostracized, creating division within our own communities or what have you to get our vote, instead of saying to us, hey, this is what we will do for you, and it will work better than what they're offering.
And I talk about numerous times how many people on the news media, they cover Donald Trump and all his associates negatively, majority of the time negatively. That points to bias. And these people are sitting here trying to like frame it as if it's a bad thing that NPR is not getting government money. No, Americans, taxpayers, conservatives, taxpayers, their money shouldn't be going into an institution that actively goes against their own interests. That makes zero sense. You pay taxes because it's supposed to help American interests. How it helps American interests when you're hating on half the country, when you try to frame half the country as bad. And this should show you how manipulative the corporate press is. Here's CNN now sitting down with cartels to ask how they feel about Trump's policies and being labeled terrorists. CNN is the enemy of the people. And I want to get into this clip real quick and highlight exactly how this interview goes. Because to me, it's like your president designated a group as a foreign terrorist organization, and you went out of your way to interview them for what reason? Because you want to build a new consensus. It doesn't matter about the truth. It doesn't matter, hey, they're doing something that actively hurts the American people. They're selling things into the community that actively hurts the American people. I don't care if the American people are your biggest consumers. It's the same thing with the crack pandemic that happened in the black community in the 1980s. You have black people calling out these drug dealers. Hey, you're selling drugs into your own community. You're handicapping your own community. You're crippling your own community with this stuff. We bash black people who sell drugs to other black people, but we can't bash a foreign national selling material that's harming Americans into our country. Make it make sense. But I digress. Let's check out this clip.
This man is talking to us on the condition we hide his identity and location.
Can I pull up a chair?
He says he produces fentanyl for the Sinaloa cartel.
How safe or dangerous is this area to be in?
En estos momentos todas las áreas son peligrosas.
I mean, according to the Trump administration, you are a terrorist. I mean, the cartels have been labeled a foreign terrorist organization. What do you make of that?
Está fea la situación, ¿verdad? Está fea la situación, pero pues todos tenemos que comer.
What's your message to Donald Trump if he's watching this?
Mi respeto, él tiene que según él buscar lo mejor para los suyos. Pero el detalle que ya están los consumidores, ¿no? Si no hubiera consumidores, pues uno le parara.
There is a lot of violence playing out on these streets here at the moment every day, right? I mean, people are dying on a daily basis. Children are afraid to go to school. Do you have any sense of remorse over your role and your involvement in this group?
Claro que sí, creo que sí. Pues está triste la cosa, pero pues está triste la cosa, pero.
Hey, this is why people leave Mexico. This is why people want to come over here in the United States of America. But these misguided people, these news journalists, as they like to call themselves, love to frame this, oh, look, illegal immigration is a good thing. We want these people over here. They come from desperate situations. And they just think they can just break the law to come into this country. What message are you sending? I just saw a video in Times Square, a bunch of people attacking police, and you find out many of them were illegals. It's not practical to do what the media is doing right now. Alberto Garcia, whatever his name is, he gets more positive coverage than politicians and officials that run our country. How can you square that? And then when people call the media the enemy of the people, they want to pretend, oh my God, that's some type of slander. Democrats, right? Brandon Johnson, $1.8 million for a Margaret Central that houses no one. Larry Lightfield, $81 million on McCormick Place COVID hospitals for 38 patients. J.B. Pritzker signs off and still brags about balanced budgets. Taxpayers just funding the circus one disaster at a time. This is how manipulative the news media is. They don't like to expose corruption on Democrats, right? Unless it's just so blatant in your face. That's the only way they want to report it. And these news articles, these news outlets, they narrow the focus of the public consciousness. And I think this is one of the main reasons they fear the media, the new media, the X. Is why because X is like a global trading notes. We're all trading notes. Oh, look what my government is doing. Oh, look, the government just did this over here. You can be more informed just scrolling on X, getting different perspective from a different angle, because I don't care how much money these news outlets have. Nothing beats on the ground. And if someone has on the ground experience, on the ground knowledge of what's going on in their local area, they'll be able to break down and explain the thing better than any person in New York in some high priced studio telling you some stuff that their producers handed it to them. Always. And I think this is what they can't stand. But here, I want to end off this video showing you this clip of them pretty much being kind of arrogant here. Lack of self-awareness here. They're going to brag about how defunding them or, oh, we're protected by the First Amendment. No. We're protected by the First Amendment. If we said COVID came from China, we're allowed to say that. But the media, they wanted to call you a conspiracy theory for saying that. The COVID vaccine don't stop COVID. They wanted to cancel people for that. They outwardly spread fear. And it goes back to Stephen A's point that these people, all of them Democratic affiliated, I mean, only 3.2% of journalists are conservative. So for the most part, I'm right when I say journalist is the most left-wing profession in the U.S. So when you get these left-wing professions, these leftist journalists who makes up a large portion of journalism, allowed to dictate what is correct things to report. This is how you get this narrative, this consensus that if you don't wear a mask, you're killing grandma. This is what building consensus is all about. Building some type of status quo and defending it and maintaining it. And this is what it is. They don't like that their status quo is being disrupted and they're mad about it. But I digress. Let's check out the clip.
Jonathan, what do you make of the president's moves at this time? Not just about PBS. This is not just about us. It's part of a larger campaign here.
Right. But I think what the president is doing, it is a fundamental attack on our Constitution, on the foundation of this country. People need to understand and remember there is only one profession that is protected in the Constitution, and it is the free press. It is the press. Why? Because the founders understood that the survival of a democracy depends on an informed citizenry. And the citizenry can only be informed by a press that can report and do.
That's a lie. That's a lie. Informed people, informed by who though? Informed by biased actors such as journalists right now who's treating their profession like activism? You think American people can be properly informed by an institution like that? NPR talking about the truth doesn't matter. The truth gets in the way of building consensus. What are you trying to inform the people with? Propaganda? This is the accusations many people levy at the mainstream media. Many Americans don't trust the media. But instead of confronting that truth, instead of reflecting and taking steps to improve or make adjustments, they double, triple down. They blame you. They gaslight you. They try to shame you and say, no, it's your fault for not listening to objective journalism. We call it straight down the line. We call it balls and stripes. No, you don't. No, you don't. Depending on what the topic is, you have a slant, and you push the slant as if it's objectively the best choice. You sit here trying to gaslight us, telling us that Kamala Harris was the most qualified presidential candidate. But in 2020, the very same network, CNN, highlighted how Kamala Harris doesn't know how to talk to non-Democrats, but she's the most qualified. Yeah, okay. But I'll continue. Let's continue with the video.
Report on the affairs of the Republic, free and unfettered. And whether they are, come from the left or from the right, the government should not interfere with that reporting. And
I agree. So therefore, the government shouldn't be funding any of you guys. Because to me, that's interference. To me, that's influence. That's what any smart person would just think. Hey, if you're getting any kind of government money, we believe it'll influence you in some way. I don't care if it doesn't make the majority of your budget. It influenced you in some way. Now that Trump's taking it away, all of a sudden it's an attack on democracy. Oh my God, we're a profession protected by the Constitution. The Constitution protects more of the civilian journalists. People who pull out their phones and say, look, I'm reporting on this breaking news on the ground. Look what's going on in my city. And bring national awareness to what's going on to a problem. That's what the Constitution truly protects. Not what these journalists are doing, all centered in the same location in New York, giving their authenticating on their opinions of how the country is, their framings of it. Don't objectively call the economy, oh, we're going through a Trump recession. How's that informing anybody? To me, that's a version of building consensus. You're trying to build a consensus. You're trying to build a narrative where people will buy into, oh my God, Trump is going to cause a recession, because that's what you want. That's the framing you want. That's the thinking you want. And this is how I think many Democratic voters get manipulated into voting for this party, because of the corporate press.
And so when you have a president of the United States who is making it his mission to attack the free press, we should all be concerned, whether we are at PBS or whether we are at MSNBC, because he's focused on us too.
Well, I know we'll all continue to.
Yeah. Accountability feels like oppression to the corporate news media. But hey, I'll leave it at there. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear what you guys got to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.